So after playing NHL preseason games and being a Black Ace with the Boston Bruins, can you share what you're going through during that time and how players, at all levels, when they're on the bubble of any teams, how it can help them?
Yeah, so I started in Providence, Boston's American League team on a tryout from the ECHL and managed to kind of stick and earn a spot on the roster. We went on a long playoff run, lost in the conference finals, and we had a really good team. And I was a bottom six guy. We had some studs that are still playing in the NHL now, and they're stars in the NHL. And I was a bit pieced, but I was able to get an American League deal out of it the next year and went to training camp. And I think the one thing for me now as a coach that I thought was awesome that Claude Julien did, there's a lot of NHL teams you go to camp and basically the 26, 27 guys that are either on the team or bubble guys basically practice together. And then everybody else is basically the scrub squad and they go practice. And what Claude Julien, he always did every year I was there for camp, he made sure everybody felt like they were part of the team. And I have no illusions of where I stood on the depth chart, but I was a guy there, had no chance to make the team. But first day of camp, I'm on a line with Bergeron and I think Lucic, my first training camp. Immediately they're like, all right, at least they're, you're part of it, you're a little bit more excited than seeing your name next to, another guy like me. Right. And it wasn't like it was me, they did that with all of the guys. That's how it was. And you kind of changed and I stunk the first couple of days of that camp. I remember actually being really bad, beating the puck up,
Could you, were there any reasons that you could share from that? Were you nervous or
probably a little overthinking it. It's instead of being oh, I'm playing with these guys, you're oh my God, don't screw it up. Right. And it was they'd pass it to me. And I remember my agent called it. My agent was actually represents Chara. Okay. And he called us and I'm I stink. I remember telling him straight, I'm brutal right now. And he's you got to relax. Shirley's, I think he said management says he looks like you're squeezing the stick too tight. I'm all right. So you go out the next day and now my line is Bergeron is up the middle and I got Mark Recchi on the left wing with me. And I'm holy shit. These guys are way out of my league. Right. But we were doing I'll never forget it because it was this guy is a Hall of Famer. Right. Both of them were going to be in the Hall of Fame, but we're doing a shooting drill, a 3-on-0 shooting drill to start practice. And I'm trying to give Recchi the puck to shoot it. Cause it's I kind of old school, right? You respect these guys, show these guys the respect that they deserve. Right. And he comes up to me, he's hey, I'm passing you the puck. You shoot, fucking score. You know what I mean? He's relax. He's and it was almost him always saying, he's you're not going to take my job. Go out and have fun. Right. Yeah. He's not losing his job to me. Yeah. So it was he was awesome. And from that moment on, I was so comfortable and I had a really good rest of camp and ended up getting into 3 or 4 preseason games. And as a guy I was in camp, I was a PTO because I only had an American League contract. I didn't think I was going to stick around. I stuck around almost to the end of camp. It was, and that was a big reason why, and you kind of, I look back at it now as I wouldn't have had that opportunity if the coaching staff didn't make everybody feel part of the group. Yeah. And I think that's a really important thing now. Even when we have camp at our level, I won't set lines for practice in training camp. We'll almost go black and white jerseys, right? And everybody just, next 3 guys. So everybody at least feels again, at every level, the guys all kind of know where they sit before they get there. It's human nature and we can all look around the room and go, all right, that guy had 30 goals in our league last year. He ain't getting cut, but I think it's good for the group, for everybody to feel like they're part of it for however long they're there. Right. Instead of just putting guys down the hall or making them feel like they don't exist, and I know a lot of teams don't do that, but I always felt that was, and I still think that's probably a big reason for their success. I know Julian's not there anymore, but I played for Bruce Cassidy for 4 years, and he was very similar in that way, and like just the way they're kind of. And again, I saw this for 2 weeks, right? 2-3 weeks in September, but the way their older guys, the veteran leadership on that team carried themselves is a big reason why they've had so much success, in my opinion. Now looking from an outsider and having a brief look at it from just training camp, like the Bergerons, the Chars, like the way those guys handle everything and treat people, like I think it goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think it's not just the leadership. They all talk about the captains, assistants, and that and the veterans, but it's the leadership from the top down. From
For sure.
ownership to the management in the offices, to the coaching staff and trainers and all that, and then right through the players. So that's what they talk about: culture, team culture, and just the way everything is kind of set up. All the all the things that kind of happen normally when all individuals come together. Things just naturally happen. But yeah, also to be able to relate to you on that, when you pretty cool that you got to play with Mark Recchi alongside him as well, and obviously Bergeron too, who's still playing today. But as I signed that ATO, amateur tryout with Grand Rapids out of school, I had Brad May as kind of a mentor right there, to be able to kind of do the same thing, just chat with you, relax. Like it's, you gotta kind of go there to get your foot in the door and exposed to what it's like. Also, as a Black Ace, like who else was in the group with you?
He's at the time. I know our captain Trent Woodfield. He was around. They sent me home, I think, after the second round. I think there was a huge group of us, and that was. I'm just trying to think. I think Mike Hutchison was one of the extra goalies they kept. Actually, at the time, the third string goalie was Anton Khudobin, who's been in Dallas. He is a real beauty. Great guy. He's hilarious. I'm just trying. I have trouble remembering. Most of us didn't play much at the next level. Trent Woodfield was a long time kind of up and down guy. One of the best teammates I've ever had. And he was with them through the whole run to the final and winning the whole thing, but didn't get any games in.
Right. That was back in when they beat the Canucks in the final there with that.
Yeah.